It is 10:41 p.m. Eastern Time. About 17 minutes ago, the Braves announced that Ronald Acuña Jr. is out for the year. He tore his left ACL, which is not the one he tore in 2021, but the result is the same. I haven't really talked to Cole about this yet, so this is going to be the first time we didn't plan anything. We weren't planning on recording a podcast tonight. This is only going to be about Acuna. I feel like I'm in a dream right now. Like, this cannot be real. I feel like I looked at the Braves tweet 20, 30 times now, expecting it to say at Barbs or something like that.
I was, it's Memorial Day weekend. I was just working on my next video, making some thumbnails, and everything seemed normal. Ronald Acuña Jr. in his post-game interview said that his knee was feeling a lot better. He said it wasn't the same type of pain when he tore his ACL in 2021. He said it was more similar to what he felt when he hyperextended it in his rookie year in Boston. So, I heard his interview and moved on with the rest of my day, expecting them to, I didn't even think they would, even if they did test, especially on a getaway day, I didn't even think they would share the news, on a Sunday night, especially holiday weekend. And so, I don't really pay much attention, go on with my day, and I just check Twitter, and the first thing I see is Ron Acuña Jr. tweeting, he's sorry. I was really confused for a second. I was like, oh, sorry that you hyperextended your knee. That's, players do that all the time. That's a pretty common injury. You'll probably be out for, about a month, but at least you'll be back for the rest of the season. And then right below it, our friend Justin Toscano, an MRI revealed that Ronald Acuña Jr. Completely tore the ACL in his left knee. He will be out for the remainder of the 2024 season. I agree with Mitchell. This doesn't really feel real. In 2021, we knew it was severe before the announcement. He couldn't help himself off the field. He needed to be carted off. He was in tears. He knew. Everybody in the ballpark knew. But this is different. I mean, it just came as a complete shock.
I feel like in 2021, we saw the injury, we saw the clips. I didn't see it live. I turned the game off the inning before the injury, and then I'm checking Twitter out of the house. I see the replay, and I'm just trying to convince myself, maybe it's not as bad as it looks. Maybe he's only going to be out for a month. This time around, I see the injury, and I go, ooh, that doesn't look so good. And in my head, I'm like, oh, he'll only be out for a month.
Yeah. For just real quick, for those who maybe didn't watch the game today or use our podcast as a source, your only source for Braves news, which if you do, thank you. In the first inning, Ronald Acuña Jr. Doubles off of Martin Perez. He looked, he's been swinging the ball well this weekend. Not that it really matters anymore, but he was swinging the ball well this weekend. Gets on second. While the catcher, Joey Bart, was throwing it back to Perez, it wasn't even in frame. All I heard on the broadcast was Brandon Gaudin going like, oh no. Just kind of a reflexive reaction to something bad that happened. And like it, for all I knew, a fan could have ran onto the field just based on what I was seeing visually and auditorily. And next thing you know, they cut to a shot of Acuña crumpled on the ground. He looks like he's in pain. You're confused. You're like, did he slip on something? What happened? And then go to the replay. basically he looked like he was trying to, and he did this a lot last year, he was trying to steal third. He was reading Joey Bart's throws back to Martin Perez, and it looked like, he had like 1 or 2 pitches to do that. And it looked like he was trying to steal third, realized that he would have been dead to rights, which, he's struggled a little bit with pickoffs this year. He hasn't really been as sharp on the base paths, just from a, I guess you could, intuition standpoint, getting picked off. He hasn't really caught the defense napping as much. And he realizes, okay, I'm dead to rights, turns around, and basically all of his weight buckles under his left knee. Now, for a good 3 minutes, he's wincing around in pain. He can't get up. He clearly is favoring the left knee. Trainer comes out, puts some pressure on it. He is able to get up under his own strength, walk off. He knows he's hurt. He knows that, okay, like I injured my left knee, but he's able to walk under his own strength, leaves the game. Rest of the game goes on. Braves actually break out offensively. Jared Kelenic comes in, goes 3 for 4. They end up scoring 8 runs, which feels like the most runs they've scored in a game all month. It actually might be. After the game, Ronald Acuña Jr. has a post-game interview. I don't know if you saw, his translator actually got married today, Franco. And so he actually had Eddie Perez translating for him. And, he said, look, I know I'm going to be out for a while, but it doesn't feel like 2021. My knee feels a lot better. Like I was at first, I was really scared of how much pain I was in, but it's really subsided. I feel a lot. It feels a lot better now. It's not like 2021 where, it was basically pain up until the time he had surgery. And then, just as Mitchell said, 17, now about 25 minutes ago, it was just announced that he completely tore the ACL in his left knee. Now, Braves fans, just remember 2021, he tore his right knee, the ACL in his right knee. Just in the frenzy of just trying to find any information I can, trying to find any sort of optimism or information just to try to, quell these thoughts. I was looking up athletes who have injured ACLs in both their knees. Doesn't happen a lot. It's more likely that you are to tear it while you're recovering, but I mean, it's assumed that his right knee fully healed. Now, something that is interesting that I do want to, I'm not trying to play conspiracy here, it's just speculation. He did hurt his right knee. He did aggravate his right knee in spring training. A lot of people were theorizing that that's why he started off slow. He's kind of been in this, almost you could say now, season-long slump. And there is a chance that his right knee, just with how sore it was, he was putting more weight and pressure on his left knee. I don't know if that, I don't really know if there's like any fact behind that. It's just something to think about. But all we know right now is that when he buckled in the first inning today, his ACL tore, his left ACL tore.
Yeah, I mean, this sucks. It is. A lot of people are going 2021 all over again. I get it. Feels like it. The Braves are in a better place than they were in 2021.
Yeah.
Technically.
We don't have Abraham Almonte filling in for Acuña.
If you wanted another division, another pennant, it's going to be a lot tougher to get it. But there's an extra wild card spot this year than there was in 2021. The Braves have an excellent rotation. They've got several star players who are underperforming. The Braves, unless, another terrible injury happens, the Braves are set for some sort of playoffs. We don't know what that is.
It reminds me of what you were saying about Strider's injury, where you calmed the masses and said, "Hey, we're going to be fine." Yes, his rotation spot's going to be kind of a mess now, but we have so much depth to cover it on every other front. We're still going to be able to make it through. The worst part is the fact that I'm not going to. You said this. I'm not going to be able to see my favorite pitcher pitch for the rest of the year. That's how I feel now. I'm not going to be able to see my favorite player play, and now you have to get into the conversation of, he's missing some of his prime seasons, and there is always going to be a conversation now again, we don't want to speculate too far into the future. Acuña can come back, be fully healthy, and have another 2023 type of season. We're not ruling that out, but you have to think now, all the time that he's missed, especially for a player with Acuña's talent. I mean, we're talking, generational talent. What are we missing? Like, what are we going to? What's non-existent at this point? And that's what really stings, is that, we were looking at a player that could be on the Mount Rushmore for the Atlanta Braves franchise. And I'm not saying that that's not possible at this point, but it's going to be a lot steeper of a climb to get there. And unfortunately, he tore both his ACLs doing it.
I feel kind of like I did before I knew that Strider's injury wasn't Tommy John. It's Tommy John adjacent, but before I realized, he didn't have to have another Tommy John, that there was just a freak injury. I feel a lot better about Strider's injury now than I did back in April.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of the same thing. You don't know what's on the other end of a 9-month recovery or 10-month recovery. On one hand, it's better that it's happening now than when it happened to Acuña in 2021 in the middle of July. We have almost 2 more months of recovery. I think Acuña back in 2022 pushed himself too hard to get back on time to play in April and to play most of the season. Now, he has that extra 2 months to recover, and I think the Braves should make sure he comes back slower than he did last time. His 2022 was rough. He was in pain all of the time. Secondly, it's not his right knee, so the hitting isn't going to be as much of a struggle as it was when he came back in 2022, where, you're loading all of that weight on a knee that's killing you. This time, it's on a knee that isn't. Base running, we're not going to see a lot of stolen bases. That makes me really sad. The Braves kind of gave him free reign to steal bases in 2022, 2023. This year, I just think there's no way they let him steal bases again.
I don't want to agree with you, but, you think about it. I don't want to agree with you, but I do, because you think about 2021, and, his fielding ability was already a little shaky, but basically he was told after his first tear, and obviously his first injury happened while he was in the field, going back for a fly ball. And, obviously you could tell the team told him, like, hey, don't put your body on the line out there. We need you. We need your bat. We need you for your speed. This is 2021 we're talking about. And, his fielding took a hit as a result. Now, this injury happens on the base paths, and I think you're right. I don't think stealing is going to be completely taken out of his game, but I don't think he's stealing.
I mean, I just think about which knee you're pushing off on.
Yeah.
On the base paths.
Yeah.
It's going to be your left knee, and now that it's happened on the base paths, I don't think we're going to see a Mike Trout level reduction of stolen bases, where I think Trout stole 3 bases in between 2021 to 2023. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see that, but we are not seeing another 40-40
No,
40
no.
stolen base season. I don't think another 30 stolen base season.
I could
Maybe
still
a
see
20 stolen base.
I could see that. And it just stinks too. I mean, Ronald Acuña Jr. is 20. I know his birth year's
6. Same
26.
as
Yeah.
you're 97, born in
Yeah.
1997.
It's just his
Yeah,
birthday's later in the year. I mean, he's basically missing his 26-year-old season. I mean, it's just I feel like this is valuable time that we're losing from a great player, and that just stings. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, if you came here to know what the Braves' contingency plan is going to be, I'm assuming Duvall, Kelenic. Get used to seeing them in the corners, buddy. And
like
you know
that's minutes, but
yeah, and that's what Mitchell was alluding to, where we have a lot better depth this year. Like I said, Abraham Almonte is not going to be our right fielder in the interim. Thank God. I think we're at a point right now where, I mean, you can get acceptable production out of Duvall, and even Kelenic too. I mean, he came into the game today for Acuña, went 3 for 4. I mean, and the first hit was a hustle single that actually Martin Perez got injured on. Joey Bart of the Pirates also left with a thumb injury, so it's just something was in the air in Pittsburgh today.
Today's
I
game
suppose
should not have happened, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I
on
don't.
all fronts.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the curse of the Allegheny, but I mean, maybe this puts a fire into Kelenic. Maybe he breaks out in a big way. I mean, we emphasized at the beginning of the year that one of the advantages of us getting Kelenic was that the weight of the world would not be on his shoulders. But maybe, hey, you know what? Yeah, maybe like, hey, man, like you're not our second fiddle anymore. You're not just going to be a platoon bat. You're starting every day, and we actually need you to step up now. Be the player that you know that you can be. And you know what? I mean, and you think about it, he's still making adjustments on the fly. He's kind of closed his stance back up. I don't know if you noticed. He's still like his load, his hand. He's still kind of messing around with his hands a little bit, and I think he lowered them, and that's how he was able to get his first 3 homers of the season. So, we'll see. I mean, again, he got a hit off a lefty today. Again, it was an infield single, but still encouraging sign. Adam Duvall, again, he hasn't really had a great year so far, but I think a lot of it has just been him being in an unfamiliar role. I think once he starts getting everyday playing time, his numbers are going to shoot up just a little bit. We'll see, though. I mean, I don't even want to. It's mid-May, unless you're the Padres or Marlins, you're not really thinking about the trade market right now. But there will be players available. Our farm system is not. Alex Anthopoulos is going to have to make some savvy moves like he did in 2021 to be able to recreate Acuña's production in the aggregate like he did that year.
I think this is really tough, and this might be the dumbest idea. The Braves' offense has been bad.
Yeah.
Like, not just bad by Brave standards, but since the close to the end of April, it's been bottom 10% of the league, like 25th.
Yeah.
They're getting Murphy back probably tomorrow. The one other spot where the defense is or the offense has not been bad is at catcher. This is, I think, just so funny because I didn't have high expectations for d'Arnaud this year as an offensive player. I love d'Arnaud on the team. I want d'Arnaud on the team. He has like a 128 WRC plus. So getting Murphy back isn't actually going to improve the offense. I think it might be worth considering 1 game a week, 2 games a week. Marcell Ozuna, you put him in left field, maybe against a lefty. You let Murphy or d'Arnaud DH. I don't want Ozuna in the outfield a lot. And he's not as bad as Schwarber. the big problem is he can't throw the ball very well. But like, he is not a Matt Kemp out there. He's not a Kyle Schwarber. He's not good, but he's not the worst ever. And that way you get offensive production. The thing is, I don't trust Brian Snitker to be vigilant about defensive substitutions and pinch running. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
This is not Acuña related. It drives me crazy when Marcell Ozuna gets on, no outs in the 9th inning, and he doesn't pinch run.
Yeah.
There's no reason for Ozuna to still be running the bases. He's a terrible base runner.
Yeah.
Great offensive player. But I think that's something that the Braves need to discuss. How bad is Marcell Ozuna going to be in left field? When you face a tough lefty, do you really want Kelenic out there when you have Murphy or d'Arnaud on the bench?
Yeah. No, I don't hate that idea. I thought for a second, I swear to God, and I understand grief makes people say some really weird shit. I thought you were gonna say d'Arnaud in right field, and I was about to.
No. So
we were about
d'Arnaud
to go to
at
some
third base
crazy
or second
places.
base?
Or I was gonna say
Austin
d'Arnaud at third
Riley
base
in
left
right
field. Or right field either. Well,
I mean, that could be an option. Austin Riley was not a bad defensive outfielder.
I don't want. We talked about this in the past, where it's like I don't want to mess with the infield. Like I don't want to degrade the infield to be able to cover for the outfield. Like Austin Riley's made huge gains at third base. I don't want to take that away from him because we have to plug holes somewhere else. I'd rather the infield stays whole, and then we just kind of figure the outfield out. And Marcell Ozuna in left field isn't the worst option. I mean, yeah, his arm is awful. I mean, it's in 2021, the last time presumably he played in the outfield, his arm cost us games. I mean, I could literally point to several examples where his arm cost us games. But again, it would be foolish to, especially with Acuña out for the year, which, fuck, that just sounds so awful saying. It feels like it would be a waste having d'Arnaud and Murphy on the bench all week.
50% of the time.
Yeah. Like, well, one of them would be sitting.
Right.
Like it just feels like a waste. So I don't hate that idea. I mean, I guess other housekeeping, I'm assuming Forrest Wall will be taking Acuña's roster spot.
He's the guy I would have gone with if it was a month. I think the Wall is hitting really well in AAA.
And I mean, he's a great pinch. I mean, he's so fast. He's a great pinch running
fast,
option.
He's hitting well.
And again,
but
you
he's
want to
left-handed. Like, I think it hurts that he's left-handed. He's a left-handed hitter. But then the other guy who's on the 40-man, JP Martinez, not JD, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's also a left-handed hitter. And then they have Eli White. I believe they still have him. He's also fast.
Yeah.
They could go back with Luke Williams, have him ride the bench for forever. I think it has to be Forrest Wall.
Yeah.
But I think if you call up Wall, I feel like Snitker's just going to have to experiment,
Yeah.
Against a righty, put both Wall and Kelenic out there for a game, and let's see what happens. Against a righty, put Wall and Duvall out there. Set Kelenic and see what happens. Put Ozuna in left, Duvall in right, and then late in the game, you put those defensive shifts and you sub in Kelenic. You use pinch runners. I think the Braves have the tools to work around an Acuña season-ending injury.
Yeah, and I hate to say this. Again, I just want to preface this by saying Acuña is my favorite player. Just bar none. Like, he's my favorite player. And last week's episode, if y'all haven't listened to it, check it out. I literally kind of went nutso mode for like a good 15 minutes. Felt like 15 minutes. Just insulting people who had the gall to come after Acuña for his lack of hustle. And, I spent 50 minutes defending him. So I say this with all the love in my heart, but Acuña hasn't, and this is just from like hey, Braves fans, if you're worried about our season being in jeopardy, Acuña had .2 F4 so far this season. He wasn't really playing at his full potential.
.2?
And it's not good.
I'm pretty sure it's like 1.2.
Maybe it was 1.2. Let's see.
Yeah, 1.2.
1.2. Okay,
Scared
1.2.
me there.
1.2. Sorry, 1.2. 1.2. Still though, 1.2 F4. He wasn't playing to the best of his abilities, and we still have the third best record in the National League. We're going to be fine. And like Mitchell said, a lot of our offense is underperforming. I know we just lost a series to the Pirates, but Austin
Phillies
Riley's
lost
coming
the
back.
series to the Rockies.
Yeah. Austin Riley's coming back. Sean Murphy's coming back. Marcell Ozuna isn't showing any signs of slowing down. Matt Olson's bat is heating up. And maybe this is something of a spark plug for a team. This is a team that I think, the last 2 years has kind of been a waiting game until October, where we're just kind of on autopilot. And, last year that autopilot was, one of the best offenses of all time. And I think this year maybe the team got, just a little complacent. Like, hey, we know we're good. And again, the record shows it, even though even on the broadcast today, they were mentioning it feels different. Even though we're playing at around the same pace as last year, it feels different. Maybe this is the fire that gets lit under this team, and our offense breaks out. And I'm not trying to say this is Acuña's injury was a good thing, because it's not a good thing. It's awful. I probably won't sleep tonight. Probably won't sleep for a week. I already have my therapist on the phone. I'm gonna start.
I might need a therapist.
Yeah, I mean,
The depression has been great for me for years, but now,
yeah. So
might need a therapist.
but
We have about 10 minutes left. You want to talk about what this could mean for his legacy? Because just imagine we get through this. The Phillies go on a bit of a struggle. The Braves, pick it up like they did in 2021. We win the division. Win the division series. Win the NLCS against the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman's weeping at first base in Game 7 at Truist. We go to the World Series. We beat Juan Soto and the Yankees. 2 World Series. You have a star player who's in his... Is this his 7th season? 7th season. He's been to the playoffs every single season. Never done much with him. Just 1 year with him on the team that they even advance. 2 years with him, season-ending injuries. They win it all. Just because I still want the Braves to win the World Series. Obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean,
what I don't think Ronald Acuña Jr. is the problem. Obviously, I don't want that to be what I'm implying.
No.
I don't want anybody to take my words wrong or out of context. But I think people are gonna have that discussion, and it's gonna drive me crazy. It still drives me crazy when Ronald Acuña, he has a World Series ring. He deserves that World Series ring. He's the reason the Braves even had a chance to compete in the playoffs, and he did all of his work before July 14th that year. And people are still on the internet going, fraud ring, he doesn't deserve it. He wasn't on the team. I hate that for Acuña again if that were to happen.
Yeah.
And then it's just, doubled. All of that again, doubled.
No, I mean, I was, before we got on, I was on the phone with my girlfriend, and we were talking about that in 2021 where, good Braves fans, I hate to say it, good Braves fans, all of them collectively agreed. Acuña should have been on the field. Not like in a literal sense, because he couldn't play. I'm not saying that they should have activated him for the World Series. Just
should have been the DH for
ninth
the World
inning.
Series.
Yeah, ninth inning defensive sub. But in a sense of, he is the spirit of this team. He's the second longest tenured player behind Ozzy Albies, which feels insane to say.
Position
Am I wrong?
player. He's the second longest tenured position player.
Position player, yeah. Max Fried.
AJ Minter.
AJ Minter too, yeah. Second, but you know what I'm saying. Second longest tenured position player.
He's been on this team. This is his team.
Yeah. And, again, October's a long way away. It's a long season ahead of us. But it does stink knowing that we're going to have another playoff series without the face of the Braves on the roster. And, baseball is a game. It's not like basketball where, the 76ers lost to the Knicks in the Eastern semi-conference finals a few rounds ago. And, Joel Embiid of the 76ers kind of has he carries the weight of being a choker because obviously in basketball, there's only 5 guys on the court on each team at a given time. A lot more responsibility is given to each player, more notably the star player of the team. Baseball is different. Team construction is a lot more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts to it, and it's never going to fall on one guy. It's very rare when it falls on one guy. Even if a reliever gives up, the game-winning home run, in the last game of the last round, people will blame them, but it's not like it's solely their fault. And it's never, 2022, losing in 2022 and 2023 wasn't Acuña's fault. I mean, wasn't great in those series, but the whole team wasn't great. It was, a little bit of everybody faltering offensively last year, but you know what I'm saying? So it's not that he's going to be known as a choker. It's just that, two of the last 4 postseason runs now, he's just not going to be on the field, and that sucks.
I mean, it sucks for fans. It sucks for us. I honestly thought there was a chance that I'd get to see Acuña in 2 weeks here in DC.
Yeah.
I was like, man, there's a chance, that month-long injury, he could come back in a week and a half, 10-day IL stint. He's playing right field on Saturday, June 8th or whatever. As a fan, it sucks just to not have him in general in the postseason. But as a person, I can't imagine what he's going through right now.
Oh, no. And I mean, like the recovery process. I mean, they made a whole documentary on it. I mean, it's not, having the surgery is one thing, but the rehab, having to like basically learn how to use your knee again. And yeah, like it's such a, I feel like when it happened in 2021, he didn't realize how long the road to recovery was because he didn't go through it yet. And now he knows. Now he understands the weight of it. I think it's knowing. I think knowing how long and just how painful it was and thinking you're behind it, like thinking that you're never going to have to do that again. But yeah, so
you guys should read his article from ESPN. I think Alden Gonzalez did it. But there's a part where he was saying, like, he was crying at night, wondering if he would ever play at the level that he did again.
Yeah.
And then he came back. He did it. He won an MVP. He was outstanding. And he's gonna have to go through that again. Yeah. I can't imagine. I honestly feel so bad for him. I can't imagine what that what it would be like to be in that headspace. And I get I felt like his tweet, "I'm sorry." What are you sorry for? That your knee gave out on you? Like, don't be so hard on yourself. This is the flukiness of it too felt like Mike Soroka walking through the tunnels and re-tearing his Achilles.
Yeah. Like, it was just a freak injury. I mean, there's just no way to prevent that. I mean, we talked about how the team told him, hey, man, like, if it's the 5th inning, we're up by 7, and bases are empty, you hit a ground ball, take it easy. And there's just no way. You still can't prevent it. He motioned towards third, retreated towards second, and just twisted his knee awkwardly, and all his weight fell on his left knee. And there's literally nothing the Braves could have done. There's literally no amount of, gloves that you could put on him to prevent that from happening.
And there's nothing he could do either. Like, if it doesn't happen on the field, just imagine if he gets a bad break on a ball in the outfield. He breaks in, steps in, has to pivot really hard. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And again, like I said, we don't know if because of his right knee injury, maybe he was like, especially running and in the field and just kind of in day-to-day life. I mean, I was lifting weights the other day, just saying. And, I kind of tweaked my back a little bit. I tweaked my right shoulder blade, and, it affects how you do everything. I'm using my left arm more for stuff, and, I kind of like, and imagine doing that, but times 1,000. Baseball is a sport of these extreme movements, these extreme short movements. And, you think about the mechanics of his swing possibly, where, maybe he's kind of doing what he was doing in 2022, where he's not able to put as much weight on that right foot, and his right knee and his left knee is bearing more weight that it previously was not bearing. We don't know. We have no idea of knowing, and it's so frustrating, and you feel so powerless. But all we have to keep doing is all we have to do is just look ahead, and
baseball.
Yeah, honestly. Ronald, not that you're watching this, but I do hope the best for you. I hope you have a speedy recovery. I hope you have a successful surgery. We Braves fans everywhere love you. The ones who don't are little piss babies, and don't listen to them. It's just a sad day. It's just a sad day for Braves fans. It's a sad day for baseball.
Ronald, if you're still watching, don't feel like you disappointed us.
Yeah.
We got your back. We're not disappointed in you. We're just disappointed that it happened.
Reality.
That you have to go through this again.
Damn.